There's a major breakthrough in the Air India Flight 171 crash investigations. The digital voice recorder of that aircraft has been recovered. The DVR, the digital recorder, has been recovered. The cockpit voice recorder and the data recorder, that's been recovered. Forensic teams are to reach the spot next. The big advantage is India too now has the capability to download data, to study it. Of course, the team of Boeing will also be there. They will independently study it to come to a conclusion why this aircraft crashed and 241 of 242 passengers lost their lives and at least close to 20 lost their lives on ground. I want to bring in India Today's Amit Bharadwaj for more on this. So that black box, as they say, that's been recovered. Is that officially confirmed now?
Gaurav, you'll have to stick to the fact that ATS of Gujarat is claiming that they have recovered DVR from the aircraft. That is digital video recorder. That's what the ATS is claiming, and it's being handed over to the agencies. Authorities will be taking it forward. We'll still have to wait for that official word coming from the AAIB, because the black box is a completely different game ball, which, as you were also mentioning, will be living evidence of as what transpired in the last 2 minutes before AI 171, crashed yesterday noon, and 241 people were killed in that particular crash, at least who were the passengers of that particular craft. So as per ATS Gujarat, this is DVR that they have recovered from the wreckage, and it will be handed over to the investigative agencies. In this case, it should be AAIB, who will further take it forward from there. And we already had told our viewers on India Today as to how AAIB is working on the material evidence from today, and they are looking forward to the investigation of the black box as well as the cockpit recorder. Back to you, Gaurav.
Amit, prima facie, and you've been speaking to a number of officials on ground, including other pilots. What have they been able to tell you about what transpired? Apparently, the flight took off about half an hour late, 29 minutes to be precise, from the scheduled departure time. It took the entire runway and not 2/3. There are some reports that seem to indicate that the thrust information seems to indicate wasn't adequate. Of course, it's all a matter of investigation. What have you been able to pick up?
Well, Gaurav, if you look at prima facie, it clearly looks that the flight was not getting the thrust that was intended or that was required for it to take a elevation. And unless you get that elevation, the takeoff cannot be successful. And it was only a matter of 2 minutes that the crash happened on hardly a few kilometers away from the airport where it is located, and 2 minutes of air distance is almost nothing, you would understand as well. So clearly in prima facie, it looks like the thirst wasn't there.
Give me a moment. Nagarjun Dwarkanath now joins me for more on the story. And Nagarjun, as a commercial pilot, your appreciation of how crucial is this recorder being found, and what's the information that can be gleaned from it? Nagarjun, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Nagarjun, how crucial is the digital voice recorder, the recovery of the DVR? What's the information that can be gleaned from it, and how long is that process likely to take?
A big breakthrough if the ATS has confirmed in Gujarat that the officials have recovered the DVR. DVR stands for the digital video recorder. This is a specialized electronic device that records all the footage on the aircraft. It uses many systems within the aircraft, and also it is used for monitoring within the aisle what is happening when the pilot is debriefing, when the flight takes off and the flight lands. All of this would be recorded from this DVR. This usually is used to analyze the accident data. Now at least we have a headway. If we have not found the cockpit voice recorder or the flight data recorder, the digital video recorder is also another piece of crucial evidence. Now can give us some headway into what exactly happened just moments before the crash, and what were the cabin crew doing. Was there any pilot announcement to the passengers? Was he debriefing the passengers on the PA system that there is loss of power, loss of thrust, or if there's a bird hit? All this crucial data or the evidence that we are looking for will come out with this DVR.
Oh, absolutely. Now, when you look at the situation, when you look at those images that we've all been able to see, your assessment, Nagarjun, on what perhaps went wrong, because at 625 feet, there was hardly any opportunity to correct whatever went wrong. But in a situation like this, what went wrong?
Gaurav, in initial analysis of the video, all these are just speculative at this point of time. But what could I understand in preliminary video footage is that there was definitely loss of power and the aircraft started stalling because the pilot started pushing the nose up, trying to not collide with the building. And hence, there was stall also at the end and the plane collapsed to the ground. The loss of power could be explained in 2 or 3 scenarios. Either a bird hit, one, which unlikely because we don't see any debris coming out of the engine in the videos, or we don't see any fire, we don't see any smoke coming out of the engine, and that can be ruled out. And secondly, was there any fuel contamination? Because we see both the engines not having enough power for the lift. Maybe fuel contamination is one of the reasons. And very, very, very unlikely, 1 in a billion trillion chances is where both engines have failed. We have never heard both engines failing at this point of time because it has just landed 1 hour back in Ahmedabad from Delhi, and which is very, very rare. And third issue, was there any human error? Unlikely, but angles can't be ruled out. When the pilot flying asks the pilot monitoring if you have a positive rate of climb, if the pilot monitoring says yes, and the pilot flying will say the gear should go up, the undercarriage should go up. Let's assume that for a second, instead of putting the gear up, the flaps were pulled back up, and hence the lift was not enough for the aircraft. That also explains why there was not enough lift when there was thrust also. But these are all extremely speculative at this point of time. Nothing explains why the aircraft just collapsed from the air from 600 feet.
Oh, absolutely. Stay with me for a moment. I want to report from a simulator. I want to take our viewers to a simulator where pilots are trained to understand the challenges that they may face during takeoff and landing. Commercial aircraft, 65% of crashes take place either during takeoff or landing is what data seems to indicate. My colleague Aishwarya Paliwal gets us more in this report.
Told us that double engine failure is rare. Even if it happens and the flight has taken off, there are chances that they'll be able to glide it. We have seen it in a couple of movies. It has happened before, but unfortunately what happened in Ahmedabad, it seems like many things went wrong. And seems like the pilots, they had no chance.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Basically, the pilots, as a pilot, we are trained to deal with any kind of situation. Single engine being one of them. It's a occurrence which can happen anytime. So pilots are basically trained to handle any kind of situation. But this situation which happened right here is which happened right after takeoff, probably just 200 feet above the ground. And both the engines seems to be dead, totally dead. Fuel starvation or bird strike, any reason can be there. But in this kind of situation, pilots had no choice but to let the aircraft put down straight ahead and pray to God, basically. So one of the things which I noticed in watching all the videos, right after takeoff, they did not put the landing gear up.
Which is the landing gear which you were showing us, where, you know, if it is down, then we don't see the wheels. If it is up, then we see the wheels.
Yes.
So this is something which, we have seen in a lot of videos also. When they land, we see those wheels coming down, and then we see the wheels going up. So usually they do it.
Absolutely. So normally the procedure right after takeoff is the moment we get a positive rate of climb, we put the landing gear up because we want the aircraft to reduce drag. In this case, the landing gear was not put up. Most probably the reason why they did it was they immediately sensed something is wrong. And they did not retracted the landing gear so that upon crash the landing gear can take some impact and minimize the damage caused to the aircraft. So we are currently at Ahmedabad runway 23. So we are going to take off and we are going to simulate twin engine failure and kind of see what actually could have happened. And you will yourself realize there is not a whole lot pilot could have done in this case.
You are saying that the situation that occurred, there was not much that the pilots could have done?
Yes, ma'am. Because although we are trained to handle single engine failures right on takeoff, But both engine failure is something which is extremely rare. And in this scenario, if the pilots had some height, they would have able to come down and glide and land back at the runway or some other safer airfield. Or if it was a single engine failure, then absolutely it was not a problem. They could have immediately come back and land. They could have flown for some time also. But as we said, in this case, there is nothing left in the hands of the pilot.